The wildfires tearing through LA have raged on for over a week, creating yet another catastrophe in Hollywood's history. Someday, this disaster will undoubtedly inspire countless cinematic stories of heroic firefighters saving the day. But amid the flames, there is a group of firefighters who face the greatest risks, receive the smallest pay, and will never enjoy the glory they deserve, or even basic human dignity, simply because they are voluntary slaves.
In this episode, we'll tell you who they are. I'm Derek, and welcome to Topics.
According to NPR, over 7,500 firefighters are currently battling the Southern California wildfires, including more than 900 prison inmates. As reported by Forbes, these inmates are equipped with nothing more than chainsaws and axes as they are sent into burning forests. Despite risking their lives alongside professional firefighters, inmate firefighters earn far less. According to Business Insider, California's minimum wage is $16.50 per hour. Yet some inmate firefighters, working 24-hour shifts, make just $26.90 per day, roughly $1 per hour. Their daily food budget is just $4, while even feeding a horse in the U.S. costs around $3 to $10 per day. The Independent comments it is too close to slavery to be ethically acceptable. Most of these inmate firefighters come from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CDCR. Since 1915, CDCR has operated a program called fire camps, employing incarcerated individuals as firefighters. CDCR insists that these inmates are entirely voluntary to take this risky job and that they face no punishment for opting out. Technically, CDCR doesn't lie. This is because California's legal and social systems have a certain magic that makes it nearly impossible for inmates to refuse this risky work. In California, a criminal sentence is almost no different from a death sentence to their careers, because carrying a criminal record means that, even if God and the courts have forgiven their sins, employers likely never will. According to a report by the Council of State Governments Justice Center, 72% of all post-release restrictions could hinder job opportunities. These include employers refusing to hire people with criminal records, restrictions on obtaining licenses, and barriers to starting a business. Even for those lucky enough to get a job, it is also difficult for them to start a new life. California resident Terrence Stewart, for instance, spent years homeless after his release. The only housing he could afford was in roach-infested apartments, where landlords charged high rents, knowing tenants like Stewart had no other options. Stewart admitted he dared not demand better living conditions for fear of retaliation. In the face of such systematic discrimination, the U.S. justice system has offered no anti-discrimination legislation to protect former inmates. Instead, it has turned these barriers into a carrot-and-stick approach, compelling inmates to willingly risk their lives. In 2022, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed AB 2147 into law. This legislation allows inmates who participate in CDCR fire camps to have their criminal records expunged. On the other hand, what drives inmates to take on such dangerous work, especially those serving life sentences with no hope of release? The answer is simple. Prison is often deadlier than the fire lines. According to the California Correctional Healthcare Services, CCHCS, California prisons have a murder rate 3 times higher than the national average and twice that of other U.S. prisons. Data from the California Department of Justice reveals that since 2005, over 2,700 people have died in California jails, averaging 225 deaths per year. In contrast, Forbes reports that from 2017 to 2020, only 3 inmate firefighters died on the job. Although these inmate firefighters are 4 times more likely to sustain injuries than their professional counterparts, their risks on the fire line pale compared to the daily threats of assault or riots in prison. In 1865, the U.S. Congress passed the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery and involuntary servitude. But when will this voluntary slavery finally come to an end? Perhaps Hollywood, the American dream factory that was saved by those inmate firefighters, might one day muster the courage to express sympathy for voluntary forced labor.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching this episode of Topics. If you have any thoughts or comments, please reach us at the email address below. We look forward to hearing from you. See you next time.